Episode 65, The Diary of E.C. Deep within the caves near Lochiel, near the MacLeod cabin, we discovered it. We discovered the Diary of E.C., a beautiful bound volume in well-preserved condition with the Tree of Life on it. This was an amazing discovery to find this diary. And now we're going to have a look at the diary in a little bit more detail. We're back home. We're going to open up the diary here. First of all, it has a leather string surrounding it, which we can unwrap. And we can open up and look at the front cover. See the intricate artwork, Tree of Life. It's got the Celtic triaqua, kind of Celtic knot symbolism in it. Engraved on the back, some other significance. It looks like kind of an X shape. Very Celtic, kind of a rune. It does say in it that it is a book of secrets, and it is written by E.C. 1816 to 1820 or so. If we look at the front page, we've got March 19th, 1816. I wish these words from my lips reach your heart. E.C. E.C., the mysterious E.C. Then we have a wax seal at the bottom and a different type of writing that says, "They did, my love," and an H is in the seal. We're going to have to figure out the H. The next page has a map of Glengarry, and it also shows a list of 29 different locations and people in Glengarry. And if we look at it closely, someone has drawn in that Celtic cross shape on the map. So that's going to have some significance. We'll have to take a look. Going into the diary itself, it starts with, "You are my quiet haven, safe anchorage at last, where vicious winds are craven and turbulence is past. Your gentle slopes enfold me with kindness in your arms. Your bird songs now uphold me, unbowed in spite of harms. Here woods and fields surround me, give hope for doubting soul. The sun and stars surround me with faith to make me whole." Wow. That's quite passionate. Turn the page, we have a picture, a sketch of the Blue Chapel, a place of solace in my darkest times. Wow, there's the Blue Chapel. Of course, it doesn't exist anymore. And here's a picture, a sketch of someone walking through winter snow back to a cabin. This diary has beautiful illustrations in it. The diary begins with, "Sketch of the cold winter day. Henry came in and spoke of his desires to join the fur traders of the West. It was the year without a summer, 1816. He explained it as the opportunity of a lifetime that he would return in 2 short years. I would be looked after by the Reverend Alex MacDonald and our community of brave souls." Nice looking tree marker maybe. We have lots of tree markers. "With months passing, I felt as alone as the one tree." The one tree. "The skies were dark, the weather cold. I was lost without my Henry. Today was an exceptional day. With a renewed faith, spring in the air, the community around me rallies to finish the cabin Henry began." 1817. That must be an illustration of the cabin. "I am learning quickly. I have made many candles, and I am beginning to learn to make soap. I can even sell some to the shop. On the shores of Lochgarry, I have become such a name. This priest takes me in. I marvel at the building of the mill. There I make candles and soap, but I leave a secret that unrests my heart. The priest has me deep in the mill. The one tree doesn't look so good anymore. There's an early illustration of priest's mill. Very nice. My Henry has returned from the west. Our house is empty, and he cannot find me. He learns of my imprisonment in the mill and pleads for my release. The priest agrees, but fills us with dread, a terrible curse. Henry tells tales out west, fur trading in gold and riches like diamonds. I love his tales just as I love him so dearly. He has brought back money and brought back his memories. 1819. But most importantly, he has brought himself back to me. We travel to Alexandria to visit the church and Shea. There are many. I am so happy. Oh, there's some of the money. Northwest Company token, 1820. I show Henry my new candle making and soap making skills. Henry is thrilled, but I do not know why he is so happy. We sell some in Alexandria. Well, there's Alexandria. That looks like it's the church, St. Finance there. Beautiful illustrations. The British need men for the militia. The Reverend Alexander MacDonald recruits local Highlanders, including my Henry. He will be taken away from me for a second time. Fear of American attacks, a war. Another cold winter day as Henry and I say our farewells. Henry confides a secret to me. If he is not to return, there may be wealth for me. He tells me how to conceal it. I guess that's their cabin. Here's a poem, Some Highland Men Who Made Their Home Glengarry. The pages in the Book of Life are filled with many stories of love and hate, of fools and fate, of failures and of glories. From dawn of time in every clime, few men did ever carry the burden of the Highland men who made their home Glengarry. And I guess that's Henry. He's leaving. He's got his pack. It looks like the corduroy road he's walking down. Henry walks the corduroy road to join the militia. I take the Soleil eastward down the frozen rivers. I need to reach the fur trading site in Quebec. There I will have Henry's secret. Henry's secret. Oh, look, that looks like the fur trading post in Lochiel, Quebec. There's the fur trading building. I arrive near Montreal and see stone buildings, dockyards, Europeans, Highlanders, settlers from worldwide, and Indians. It is a remarkable place. I am greeted warmly and given a place to stay. That spring and summer, I serve the lords of the mansion in Montreal and await eagerly any news of Henry in battle. The lords confide in me one day, and Henry's secret is revealed to me. I dare not write of it any more. That looks like the horse and sleigh in the winter taking her down the river. My home and sleigh returns me to Glengarry later that year. I carry a wealth I could never have believed, but our house is empty when I arrive. The secret Henry has shared with me is true. I have great wealth. There are diamonds and gold. I need to keep it all safe. I use my skills at candle making and soap making to cleverly hide our riches. Returning to the mill in Alexandria, I return to the basement secret trap door and descend deep into the caverns below. Here I hide diamonds in the land in a crafted bottle. Oh, hide diamonds in the lard in a crafted bottle. No one will ever suspect. Back at home, I begin tunneling out a cave. Henry's chart of gold will be buried here. I have chosen a tortuous route to follow and a hiding spot that is extremely remote. With no news of Henry, I set out in springtime to the shores of Glengarry in search of news along the river. I see the rail line and steamships for the first time in life. It is a wonder. Upon returning home, I am sought out by British Army officers who inform me of Henry's death. As I have been fearing so long now, I have lost him. The cabin seems kind of empty. Days pass and I fall into a deeper and deeper sadness. Our home is not my home any longer. Our secrets are now just mine. I am going to take the money and leave this place. I am presented with ribbons and medals celebrating the heroics of Henry. I will carry these always. It is my only memory now of Henry. I hope wherever he lie, he may have my locket. Wow, here's some medallions and ribbons and medals from the War of 1812, specifically Chrysler's Farm. That is pretty cool. I learn of a grave marker that could be Henry's. I travel there. I have found no sign of Henry. It all seems like a dream to me. Did I really ever have this life? The towns are growing so fast now. I am off on my own adventure now. Traveling, I see progress, and I am amazed at how things are improving for everyone here. I decide to make the voyage from the river to learn of my Henry. Down the river to learn of my Henry. The towns are coming along. Looks good. Roads, buildings. Steamships, 1820. Unbelievable, thrilling. I really am a woman of adventure now. I travel days by ship and rail. I see so much happening in the New World. Oh, now it has a new name, Canada. And there's a steamship. Another map of Glengarry. She's traveling further inwards to the west. I visit Kingston, York, and even travel in America, but my heart belongs to Glengarry. There I return, but find progress smearing out the old origins. Our cabin is a mess. I decide to rent a room in town. I am living my days with adventure and travel. I have grown up with it, and it is a part of me. I wish for my Henry daily. I still have his secrets. Some logging. While traveling in America on one such trip of many I learn of a battle. It is an historic battle. People speak of a soldier named Henry. Could it be my Henry? There are caves here. It is said this Henry lives nearby. It's an American steamship. It's in America. I hire a guide to bring me to these caves. It's a torturous but awesome spectacle. Miles and miles of rocky terrain, raging rivers, and deep caves and chasms. 5 days in, we find something. All that remains is a skeleton and a musket. Is this the Henry people speak of? Is this my Henry? There's a sealed note. It has an H seal. I have taken the note. This note describes the soldier's last days and his love for Eliza. A pendant inside the parchment has my picture. This is my Henry, my love, my poor, poor Henry. I am so glad to have found you, such as it is. Your note speaks of your secrets. Deep within a cave, your secret is kept. Days within the mill, and you will find your rewards. I have taken ill these last few months. Since my discovery, I will rest and recuperate before my going home. I now made new friendships and have my cave, and my care has been wonderful. But without my Henry, I feel I am at an end. All the gold and diamonds in the world cannot bring us back together. It is a beautiful place here. My dear lost Henry, I'll take my leave of you knowing you are lost to me forevermore. This is the road I will take, and wherever the road lies, I will take it, for I know it well. I am comforted by a man today. Maybe he is my doctor, I am not sure. He is asking me about my life. He takes a keen interest in Henry. He is nice, and I feel a connection. I confide my secrets to him. He has a nice smile. It reminds me of Henry. Passage has been arranged for me back to Glengarry. Steamship once more. It is a thrill. The rapids are rough this time. My health deteriorates. The man is there to comfort me. Well, we know her name is Eliza now. Could this man possibly be Henry? She just doesn't recognize him. Arriving in Glengarry, I have a little strength left. I remember only parts, and I am so tired. More steamship travel. I include my last sketches and photos as a reminder of my life, my Henry. My cabin is a mess. I realize my diary records our secrets. I must hide it from all. One last adventure by candlelight into the deepest part of the cave I dug years ago. It is well concealed. Here I will leave my diary. And it looks like the end of the journal. There's just some blank pages. Some pictures. Oh, wait. Looks like there's something coming up here. Another Celtic symbol. Celtic knot. Oh, it's a picture of a locket, a chain and a locket. Young Father Alexander, son of Scotus of the Banners, the holy priest, was full of kindness. Like a saint, he brought us out so that we would be free, as those who followed Moses out of Egypt. We got farms of our own with proprietary rights from the king, and landlords will oppress us no more. Wow, that sounds like the Highlanders coming over. Is that a picture, a locket of Eliza? Different writing. Herein is my account for the record of my travels, H.M. My dearest Eliza, I have truly missed you. I hurt so much for not returning to you after the war. Believing I had been killed, freed you from my discoveries. Having the gold and diamonds made us both targets of those whom would do us harm. It was best to have you hide our secret and for the trail to die with my death. Although my death was staged, an unknown attacker lies deep within the caves you discovered. Dressed in my military garb and identification, it was necessary to preserve our secret and leave no ties to you or Glengarry. I understand now that I meant more to you than the wealth we acquired, and regret my actions. I truly felt I was doing good. There are only a few select sworn friends I know that also know of my secret, that they did not know of you except for one. One contact who you did meet in Montreal with the fur traders. He was a sworn friend and ally that I trusted with my life. I am glad to read he took care of you in Montreal. This is the story of my adventure with the Northwestern fur traders. My first few days of travel were strenuous. I was not accustomed to the physical nature of the hiking, canoeing, and camping, but after several days I was beginning to get the knack of it all. These were good men of Glengarry, and we were led by experienced guide and Indians. We traveled many miles west, and we were told of great men and tall tales. Reaching larger establishments on the rivers, we set out trapping. Again, the work was heavy and relentless, but the rewards were great. Further west we traveled, and I heard tales of the gold rush. Many of the men, including myself, set out to seek the gold of the west. We were greeted by a wall of mountain. It was awe-inspiring. Prospectors filled every shanty town, and the bars filled with stories of gold. Here, perchance, I came across another Cameron like yourself. Everyone called him Caribou, and he had made a small fortune in gold. Caribou had the most fascinating story to tell. He was a Glengarry man, an immigrant, and a man after gold and glory. Sadly, his child and wife died on his quest for gold out west before his discovery. He actually returned his wife to Glengarry in an alcohol-filled casket from the west via the Panama Canal. In Glengarry, he had a big home built, and there were rumors of gold stored on the property. And Caribou shared one other secret. He is said to have returned the gold to the gold mountains with a curse. From the gold mountains with a curse. People say it was a sword, an ancestral sword of the clan MacLeod, stolen from Scotland. And it appears our father, Reverend Alexander MacDonald, has been named as the culprit. I could not believe it until reading your story of how he locked you deep away in the mill. It seems the Reverend had some dark secrets himself. As it happens, I was able to claim an area and found gold. This I have passed to you. Upon my time to return to Glengarry, an angry mob set upon Caribou, and threats to remove the cursed sword surrounded him. He died in the gold rush town, Barkerville, as it were. The sword mysteriously made its way into my possession. I was able to transport it back to Glengarry wrapped in my tartan kilt. But this cursed sword was such a burden, I tried to rid myself of it in the deepest river chasms of the mountains. But the pull of the sword had me forced me to haul it back to Glengarry. I was in Glengarry for several weeks before returning home. I needed a safe place to store the sword. I found a place near the home Caribou Cameron had built. It was Salem Church, where the Reverend John Bethune was pastor, and where the Lady Caribou Cameron was placed to rest. One late night, and only this once, I opened the tomb of the lady and deposited the sword inside. The next day I returned home to find you missing. That is how I eventually learned of your detention by the priest. I felt somehow and in some way the priest knew my connection to the sword and was to draw me out by your capture. With luck, we both were able to return to our lives together. I was so impressed with your skills at soap and candle making, I knew you could conceal our gold. But what about the acquisition of diamonds that began the day I was recruited for the Glengarry militia? Once again, I would leave you and our Lochiel home again. There were many stories of the Glengarry Fencibles, a militia group dressed in green organized by the Reverend Alexander MacDonald. They fought well in the War of 1812. In the years following the war's end, raids continued and they were still concerned of more attacks. The Fenians were one such group. Our troops massed in full in the barracks near Faulkner's Landing, ready to move east to Quebec or west to Kingston if needed. I was fortunate enough to meet some great leaders, Lieutenant Colonel John MacDonald among them. Also present was the Reverend John Bethune and the Reverend Alexander MacDonald. The priests were fierce leaders. Lieutenant Colonel John MacDonald also housed a barracks near Stonehouse Point on the St. Lawrence River. It was on this occasion I happened to meet Lieutenant Colonel John MacLeod and Lieutenant Colonel John Johnson. These men were staunch military leaders with much wartime experience. John Johnson was granting land petitions in Glengarry and engaged us all in vigilance, keeping our land safe from potential American attacks. He had mapped out all plans of strategy against such attacks. One of his most detailed plans involved the digging of tunnels throughout Glengarry. He had done this before at his manor house in Williamstown and was set to create underground routes through Glengarry from the St. Lawrence River to the Ottawa River. Tunnels for the passage and storage of military men and supplies, places of refuge, and communication routes. As far as I know, his plan never reached completion, but there were entrances hidden in church sites. Nobody suspected the digging in the graveyards, and following a specific pattern of the Celtic cross, a symbol known to many of the settlers of Glengarry. Wow. Hidden entrances in church sites following the pattern of the Celtic cross. That's our Celtic cross map. It was in the tunnels years later I was able to conceal the sword and some of my wealth. Surprisingly, Eliza, my love, you had similar ideas regarding hiding our wealth. Lieutenant Colonel John MacLeod had first learned of a large cache of American diamonds used to finance their war effort. In a raid, we were able to secure a large portion. The lieutenant colonel made it out of American territory with the loot. I was not so lucky and found myself injured and in the hands of the Americans. John MacLeod promised me my share of diamonds would go to you, and in that his word was true. The Americans were hell-bent to retrieve their stolen goods. So as to leave no trail to you, I had the lieutenant colonel report me perished in battle. That is how you came to receive my Medal of Honor. So as to leave the trail cold, I staged my death in the very cave you discovered, and I hoped you would discover. Although my possessions rested there, with the skeleton, it was not me. But the story of the diamonds was over, and there was no connection to you. I was eventually able to return to Glengarry, where now Sir John Johnson was able to find me land to settle and serve in the community. Upon visiting our home, I learned of your passing and the great search you undertook to find me. So much sadness now fills my heart. Others now have taken up the search for our gold and diamonds, and the curse of the sword, I feel, has befallen us. My friend John MacLeod tells me tales of the sword now. It seems it has been a constant bane on Glengarry, and he reports many supernatural occurrences. He has instructed me not to speak of it and to keep the secret and any reference to it. And for that reason alone, I will return your diary to your hiding area deep within the Lochiel cave you dug out. This shall be my last entry and our heritage preserved within these pages. The information I have provided will serve to reveal secrets, but also tell the truth and reveal the true servants of the curse. There are many such tales of the curse, secret tunnels and fortunes written and hidden. One day the truth will all be known. And it's signed H.M. H.M. We believe that is Henry MacLeod. Here's a footnote. July 7, 1860. I perchance to have met my brother, or half-brother, tonight at the Moosehead Inn in Lancaster. It was a chance occurrence. We spoke of many things, but one conversation overshadowed all the rest. At the end of the night, we parted very much afraid. My brother gave me an account of a curse in Glengarry, but would not reveal specifics. In fact, he believed the truth of his story could not be shared. He was chronicling his travels and some of the mysteries he had encountered. His journal sat on the table before me. Before I could look at his journal, he warned me of a curse. Then, without any notice, he picked up his belongings and burst out the door. I was never to see him again, but the meeting left me wondering of his journal and the curse. It seems too strange an incident to believe the curse I encountered in Glengarry would not be the very same curse John spoke of. If I could just read more of his journal, I might be able to better understand my experiences. The old Moosehead Inn is closed up now, and there is no sign of my brother, but it seems his madness and my own could very well be the same accord. H.M. Once again I return to the tunnel to write my last entry. I have but hours to live, and as a last wish I intend to check for the safety and security of our diary. It is protected well, but should it be discovered in the future, I can leave only one piece of advice. Let it lie, let it rest, for a great curse is still at work. Seek out the bearer of the mask, for he is the wisest of them all. H.M. And that's the last entry in this diary. Who is the bearer of the mask? And at the beginning we have E.C. This must be Eliza Cameron. The diary refers to Eliza and Cameron, the same last name as Caribou. So E.C. Eliza Cameron and H.M. Henry MacLeod. That goes back to what we thought when we were trying to figure out the ancestry of the MacLeods. What a fantastic discovery we have made. There's so much in the diary now that we have to explore.